remember the old line that we're supposed to all know? He has
And
not
he
been
can
convicted
return
of
to the
anything
United
yet.
States and face
But
the
he can
charges.
also, surely, people who are accused of crimes are allowed their right of free speech, are they not?
Matt, I think we've gone the round.
It's a legitimate question. I mean, you talk about even in Russia that journalists have been persecuted and political activists have been persecuted, and you call for free speech around the world, but you're not saying that Mr. Snowden has the right of free speech?
That's not at all what I was saying. We believe, of course, broadly in free speech. Our concern here was that there was obvious facilitation by the Russians in this case. We've conveyed that. We've conveyed our concerns.
So you're upset. You're not upset about the press conference. You're upset that the Russians facilitated.
We certainly are upset that there was a platform for an individual who's been accused of felony crimes.
But what does that matter, really? I mean, people that are in jail or on trial in the United States, they give press conferences or they speak out all the time. I mean, it sounds to me like what you're not really upset with the act that he spoke. You're upset with the fact that the Russians did something on his behalf.
I think I've expressed what we're upset about, and you keep saying what we're upset about, but I think I've made clear what we're upset about.
Madam, can I just follow quickly?
Just a quick, question on this. The Secretary has said in the past that this issue with Ed Snowden is just not his portfolio, and that all of this is being handled primarily through the Justice Department. Can you clarify what the State Department's role is then? Because obviously there is contact today on the ground in Russia with diplomats.
Well, I think just for context's sake for everybody, that was said after a meeting with Foreign Minister Lavrov. Obviously there are a number of issues that we do discuss and will continue to discuss with the Russians, but we're going to express concerns where we have them. We have been in touch on the ground. Embassy officials have been in touch on the ground with Russian officials. So yes, of course, we have expressed our concerns, and they have been expressed previously. But the Secretary was making that comment in the context of his meeting with Foreign Minister Lavrov.
So what is the regular channel of communication between embassy officials, or is it at a higher level? I mean, has Deputy Secretary Burns been in more regular contact? We haven't really heard in recent days.
I just don't have any other specific calls or contacts to read out for you. Obviously, there are many components of the government who are engaged and involved in this issue, but beyond that, I don't have anything specific for you.
Is it this building's role then to formally request a denial of asylum? I mean, what is the communication here? If the issue of him being a fugitive is handled through justice, what is it that state is doing?
Well, we would like to see him return to the United States, and he can be put on a plane to do exactly that.
So does that mean the issuance of an actual letter from the State Department? Would the counselor issue a letter on State Department letterhead, or is that simply reserved for the Attorney General?
That's ahead of where the process is right now. I think, as events unfold, we can provide you all updates.
Jennifer, on this point that you were talking about just now, there was apparently a fresh offer for asylum if he stops leaking. That was made today.
Which
I
Elise just
understand.
asked
That was
about.
made today, like a couple of hours ago. So what is exactly your position? I didn't understand it. So did you tell the Russians that that is rejected, that is unacceptable? What language did you use?
Well, we've conveyed outside of that. I don't have any independent confirmation of what's been offered or what's been approved or accepted. Beyond that, Russia has the ability to do the right thing, the opportunity to do the right thing, and facilitate his return to the United States.
And second, you said that he's not a whistleblower. He's a felon. Now,
I said he's been accused
okay.
of felony crimes, yes.
Yeah, but apparently, public opinion polls in America show that 3-1, the public says that he's a whistleblower. Does that factor in, like, the petition in Egypt in any way?
I think you're linking a lot of things together there. I'm conveying he is a United States citizen.
Right.
He's facing crimes in the United States. He can return to the United States and face the charges.
Okay, so public opinion should not matter in this case. That's what you're saying.
In terms of
this
defining his specific role, I'm giving you an overview of the U.S. government view.
Are privately Russians are telling you in Moscow or at the United Nations or in Washington about this offer?
Are they privately?
Yeah.
I just don't have any updates on that for you, Goyal.
When was the last time before today's contacts did anyone from this building talk with Russian officials, or have all of the conversations been strictly from the Justice Department?
Well, I think even Secretary Kerry spoke briefly with Foreign Minister Lavrov about it when they last met. So obviously there have been contacts at a range of levels. I don't have any update for you on the last high-level contact from the building, but it's fair to say that the State Department, just like other administration departments where appropriate, have been very engaged. We've been working very closely with the Department of Justice, as the Secretary also said.
But wouldn't it be logical to assume that if the entree was made for Amnesty and Human Rights Watch and WikiLeaks and other people to get into this transit zone, that the Russian authorities would have had some sort of heads up and would have conceivably made some sort of arrangements in order to get them into an area where theoretically they're not supposed to have access because they're not, quote, in transit? And wouldn't the U.S. have had more of an alert before finding out from the media today that this event was going to happen?
Well, you are correct that this is an area only accessible with the assistance of Russian authorities. Beyond that, we of course saw the announcement earlier this morning online or wherever it was first made, but that was the first we learned of the plans for this event.
Is it your position that in his meeting with these human rights activists, Mr. Snowden committed more violations of American law?
Don't think I was suggesting that, Matt.
Okay, then I just don't understand. I think this is an incredibly slippery slope that you're going down here, that the U.S. government is going down here. If you are coming up and saying to us that you're trying to prevent an American citizen, albeit one who's been accused of serious crimes, from exercising his right to free speech, you don't agree with that?
I believe that what I've conveyed most proactively here is our concern about those who helped facilitate this event and make it into a propaganda platform.
Right. Well, and the propaganda platform aside, free speech covers propaganda. Last time I checked, it covers a lot of things. And I don't see, unless he somehow violated U.S. law by speaking at the transit line at the Russian airport, I don't see why you would be disappointed in the Russians for, one, facilitating it, but also apparently, from what it sounds like, tried to discourage them from allowing this event to take place at all.
Well, Matt, this isn't happening clearly, because we wouldn't be talking about it in a vacuum. And this is an individual, as we all know, who has been accused of felony crimes in the United States. We've expressed strongly our desire to have him returned to face those charges. This is all applicable context to these circumstances. But as you have also said,
he is a U.S. citizen. He remains a U.S. citizen, and he enjoys certain rights as a U.S. citizen. One of those rights, from your point of view, is that he has the right to come back and face trial for the crimes he's committed. But the rights that you're not talking about are his right to free speech, his right to talk with whoever he wants to, freedom to assemble. I don't understand why those rights are, why you ignore those and simply say that he's welcome to come back to the United States to exercise his right to be tried by a jury of his peers. Why is that the only right that he gets, according to this administration?
I don't think that's what my statement conveyed.
All right.
Has the U.S. had contact with the Russian ambassador here to convey that message?
I'd have to check on additional contacts beyond what I just stated.
Okay.
Is there a belief in this building that the Russians are not dealing with the U.S. in good faith regarding Edward Snowden?
I think our belief is what I stated, which is that they still have the opportunity to do the right thing. We are disappointed with their role in facilitating the events of this morning, but we will continue to convey that we'd like to see him returned, and they can play a role in that.
How much is this? Sorry. I was just going to ask, has the administration sent any officials or any people representing the administration to this transit area in the Moscow airport to try and make contact with Snowden directly?
Not that I'm aware of.
How, if the Russians accept his asylum position, how badly will this damage the relationship? Is it is this the most important issue in the relationship with Russia right now?
Well, I'm not going to rank them. Obviously, we work with Russia on a range of issues. There's no question that, as we've stated broadly with any country that would have a role in assisting him either in transit or in a final place for him to live, that would raise concerns in our relationship. However, we're not at that point yet. They still
Raise
have
concerns, or would it damage the relationship irreparably?
Well, at least this hasn't happened yet. They still have the opportunity to do the right thing and return Mr. Snowden to the United States, and that's what our hope is.
But you don't really think that's going to happen. I mean, you're growing resigned to the idea that they're going to accept his asylum petition.
I'm not. That's not at all what I stated.
This is not contentious, I don't think. Do you know if the Secretary has any plans to talk to Lavrov? I mean, yes, I realize that it's not necessarily their specific portfolios, but now that it is a diplomatic thing.
I'm not aware of a planned call, Matt.
Could I ask, the WikiLeaks statement that Edward Snowden put out, he accepted all extant offers of asylum, including the one from Venezuela, and said that that relationship is now formal, that he's now an asylee. But does the U.S. recognize this? And he also said that that would give him some kind of international legal protections. And in that case, as an asylee, what kind of implications would that have for the U.S.'s continuing efforts to extradite him?
Well, it's not for the United States to recognize. Our position and our message to every government we've communicated with has been the same, which is that we'd like to see him returned to face the charges he's been accused of. I don't have any independent confirmation of what's been offered or accepted in any of these cases.